Okay, so if you're listening, you're probably wondering about capsule coffee machines. Maybe you're thinking, should I finally get one? Or stick with my trusty, maybe slightly intimidating espresso machine? Well, you're in the right place because these capsule systems, they're not just a fad anymore. The sources we looked at show they're a major challenger to traditional coffee brewing. So, our mission today in this deep dive is to cut through the noise for you. We're going to, quickly hit the main advantages, compare them directly, capsules versus espresso, and then look at the big players, the popular models, what makes them tick. Basically, a shortcut so you're totally up to speed on this whole category.
Exactly. And that appeal, it's immediate, isn't it? It's not
hmm
just about saving a few seconds in the morning, though that's part of it. It's really a different way of thinking about coffee at home, a whole different value proposition, especially if you're busy. It's this trade-off.
Yeah.
You give up some control, maybe, but you gain incredible convenience and consistency.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. If they become so popular, there has to be a major reason, right? What's the number one thing our sources point to? Is it purely the speed?
Speed is definitely huge, but it's maybe better described as effortless operation. I mean, think about it. You grab a pod, stick it in, press one button, and literally seconds later, you've got a coffee. For anyone, rushing out the door at 7 a.m., that simplicity, that speed, pretty hard to beat. That's core advantage number one.
And that effortless part leads right into the next big thing, consistent flavor. Because, let's be honest, I've definitely messed up a few shots on traditional machines. It happens.
Oh, absolutely. We all have. But with capsules, each one is sealed, perfectly measured. It's the same formula every single time. So you basically eliminate those brewing mistakes. No worrying about if your beans are stale or if the grind is slightly off today or if you tamped it too hard or too soft. None of that guesswork. You know what you're getting.
And point three is, honestly, maybe my favorite, easy cleaning. Ugh, the messy grounds, washing out the portafilter.
Right. With the capsule machine that's almost entirely gone, no coffee grounds everywhere. The cleanup is, well, minimal. It's a big psychological win, I think, over the traditional espresso ritual sometimes.
Totally. And the fourth advantage.
Variety. That opens up a huge world. The sources make it clear the sheer selection across all the different brands now
Yeah.
is, well, it's staggering. You've got dozens and dozens of flavors, different intensities, different brands,
Yeah.
espresso, lungo, Americano,
Right.
even other drinks entirely in some systems, something for pretty much everyone. And what's really fascinating when you step back is how this capsule approach tackles that information overload you sometimes get with traditional espresso. All that stuff about dialing in your grind size, getting the tamping pressure just right, worrying with the extraction ratio, keeping the machine calibrated. Capsule machines just bypass all of that.
Oh, yeah.
It forces that trade-off.
Yeah.
You give up fine-tuning control, but you get guaranteed consistency in return.
Which brings us neatly to the head-to-head. Capsule versus espresso. Let's break down those key differences the sources highlight. There are about 5 main areas, right? And the first one is always money.
Yeah, the cost. And it's kind of inverted, actually. With capsule machines, the upfront cost buying the machine itself is usually much lower, often significantly lower. But, and this is the trade-off, the cost per cup for each individual capsule is generally higher over the long run.
Okay, and then flip that for traditional espresso.
Right. With the traditional setup, the machine itself can be a big investment, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, depending on how serious you get. But once you have it, the cost per cup drops way down. Assuming you're buying decent beans in bulk, it's much cheaper per coffee.
Although it's probably worth pointing out, the sources did confirm that even with the higher per pod cost, capsules are still generally cheaper than grabbing a coffee from a cafe every day.
Oh, definitely. Compared to a daily coffee shop habit, it's still a saving.
Okay, so cost is one thing. What about control over the final product? The flavor.
That's the biggest difference, probably. Capsule flavor is predetermined, locked in by the pod. It's consistent, reliable, pre-measured. You get what the manufacturer designed.
Whereas traditional brewing.
It's all in your hands. The flavor is a direct result of your choices. How fine you grind the beans, how hard you tamp them down.
And tamping, just to clarify for everyone, that's just packing the coffee grounds into the little filter basket, right?
Exactly. Compacting them so the hot water has to force its way through under pressure. Get it right, you get amazing espresso. Get it wrong, well, you get something else.
So that control difference really points to the ideal user, doesn't it?
It really does. Capsule machines. Minimal effort, maximum convenience. Perfect for busy people, small kitchens, offices, anyone who just wants a good, reliable coffee without the fuss.
And traditional espresso.
That's for the enthusiast, the person who enjoys the process, the ritual. grinding the beans, tamping, adjusting. They see brewing as a hobby, something to control and perfect.
So yeah, connecting that to the bigger picture, it really does boil down to lifestyle convenience versus deep hobby engagement.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get specific then. Let's talk about the actual machines, the top contenders mentioned in the sources. And we probably have to start with the brand that basically invented this market, right? Nespresso.
Yeah, the Nespresso Senza Mini comes up a lot in the reviews we saw. People seem to love the design. It's super compact, sleek. It even won design awards like the IF and Red Dot Awards. Clearly has global appeal.
And beyond the looks, the tech specs are what make it work so well. These machines, especially Nespresso, often boast 19-bar high-pressure extraction. That's not just a random number.
Okay, unpack that for us. What does 19 bars mean for my coffee?
Well, think about professional cafe machines. Real, authentic espresso needs serious pressure, usually at least 9 bars, to force that hot water through the finely ground, tamped coffee very quickly. That intense pressure is what creates the crema, that rich reddish-brown foam on top of a good espresso shot. It's a sign of a proper extraction.
So at 19 bars, Nespresso's basically replicating that professional level pressure in a tiny home machine. That's something most other small home brewing methods just can't do, and it's a big reason why they can achieve, genuinely excellent espresso quality.
That makes sense.
Plus, a little detail, the capsules themselves are actually made in Switzerland. Adds to that quality image.
And something that comes up constantly with pods is waste. What about recycling?
Nespresso tackles that head on. They have a free recycling program. You collect the used pods, send them back often with free postage bags, and they actually reuse the aluminum shells and compost the coffee grounds inside.
That's a crucial detail for a lot of people, that sort of pod guilt, knowing it's being handled.
Absolutely. It mitigates a major downside. And hey, if you're loyal to certain brands, like Starbucks,
Yeah.
Starbucks actually makes a whole line of capsules specifically for the Nespresso system. So you can still get your Pike Place roast or whatever just in Nespresso pod form. It spans the variety even more.
Good to know. Okay, moving on. Next up, Keurig. They're everywhere, right? What's their niche?
Keurig is all about reliability, generally more affordable price points, and crucially, maximum beverage variety.
Ah, so not just coffee.
Exactly. That's where Keurig really differentiates itself. Coffee, yes, but also hot chocolate pods, tea pods, even things like apple cider sometimes. They kind of own that all-in-one hot beverage station space.
Gotcha. And the third major player mentioned, Illy.
Ah, Illy. That's about Italian elegance and history. Founded way back in 1933 in Trieste, Italy. Their whole brand is built on quality, specifically using 100% Arabica beans. They aim for that classic, smooth, really aromatic Italian espresso profile, very focused on the coffee quality itself.
So that brings up an interesting point about specialization, right? Like, what's the difference between Nespresso and another big name, say, Nescafe Dolce Gusto?
Yeah, the sources draw a clear line there. Nespresso is really laser-focused on delivering that authentic, high-pressure espresso and related coffee drinks, like Lungo's Americanos. More for the purist, maybe. Dolce Gusto, on the other hand, aims for a much broader range. Yes, coffee, but also lots of milky drinks like cappuccinos and lattes, where the milk powder is often in the pod system itself, plus things like hot chocolate, matcha. It's more about variety and fun, maybe less about pure espresso replication.
Okay, useful distinction. Now, before anyone runs out and buys a machine based on brand, we have to talk about the biggest potential snag: compatibility. Or lack thereof.
This is critical.
The key takeaway here, and it's almost universal across the sources, capsules are generally not interchangeable between the major brands. Nespresso pods don't fit in Keurig machines. Illy pods don't fit in Nespresso machines. Dolce Gusto uses its own shape. They all have their own proprietary system.
Yeah, once you choose a machine, you're pretty much committing to that specific type of pod and whatever licensed partners make pods for that system.
There's a specific example mentioned for Illy, right?
Yes, the Illy Y3.3 machine, for instance. It uses their own espresso capsule system. And the material is explicit.
Yeah.
It is not compatible with Nespresso capsules, period. It's how they control the quality and the experience. But it means you have to choose your ecosystem carefully up front.
Okay, good warning. Let's quickly hit a few other common questions people might have. Can these machines make things like lattes or cappuccinos?
Generally, yes, but usually not directly from a single coffee pod. You make the espresso shot with the machine, and then you need a separate milk frother to steam and froth the milk. The good news is, many Nespresso bundles, especially the slightly higher-end ones, actually include a decent milk frother, like their Arancino, right in the box. so it's often a paired solution.
Makes sense. What about health? Are capsule machines inherently unhealthy?
Not really, no. It's just another way to brew coffee. The health aspect comes down to the coffee itself, choosing good quality beans, drinking in moderation, and, maybe more importantly, avoiding those pods that are loaded with sugar, artificial sweeteners, and weird flavorings. If you stick to plain coffee pods, the brewing method itself doesn't pose any specific health concerns mentioned in the sources.
Okay. And finally, maintenance. They're easy to clean, we said that, but does that mean no maintenance?
Not quite zero, no. Compared to a traditional espresso machine, it's minimal. But you still need to do a few things regularly, like rinsing the system through with water fairly often, emptying the little tray that catches drips, and the bin where the used capsules fall.
And the big word?
Descaling. You absolutely have to descale the machine every few months, depending on your water hardness. That just means running a special cleaning solution through it to get rid of mineral buildup, lime scale.
Why is that so important?
If you don't descale, two things happen. First, the machine's heating element and pump get clogged and will eventually fail. It shortens the lifespan considerably. Second, that mineral buildup starts affecting the taste of your coffee. It can get kind of metallic or just off.
Yeah.
So yeah, descaling is non-negotiable for longevity and taste.
Right. Good tip. So, wrapping things up, the big question, is a capsule machine best?
Well, like with most things coffee, best is totally subjective, isn't it? It really depends on what you value most. Is it that intense, bold espresso shot, a smooth, long black,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a creamy latte? And how much do you care about having control over every little variable versus just wanting a great, reliable cup with zero fuss?
Okay, so let's try to synthesize the key takeaway for someone trying to decide right now, based on our sources.
I'd say it like this. If you're looking for top-tier, award-winning design, consistent, genuinely high-pressure espresso quality, and you care about a robust, easy recycling program, Nespresso seems to be the standout model for that profile.
Sure.
But if your main priority is maximum variety, you want hot chocolate, you want tea, you want all sorts of different drinks alongside your coffee from one machine, then you should probably be looking more closely at Keurig or perhaps Nescafé Dolce Gusto.
Makes sense. Okay, so here's a final thought, something for you to chew on after this deep dive. The sources confirm that even now, capsule coffee is generally cheaper than buying daily from a cafe. But we also talked about these increasingly complex environmental efforts, right? Like Nespresso, collecting pods, shipping them back, separating materials, composting grounds. That all costs money, significant money, probably.
Yeah.
So the question to mull over is, how much will those environmental costs and the investment needed to make these systems more sustainable ultimately influence the long-term price and the popularity battle between these competing capsule ecosystems? Will the greener options eventually cost more?
That's a really interesting question, something to definitely think about maybe over your next perfectly consistent, effortlessly made cup of coffee.
Fantastic deep dive. Thanks everyone for tuning in.